everybody. Let's see. It looks like it's taking a little lag here. All right. I think we're live. Hi, Katie. So I did do it right. I was worried I didn't do it right. You may hear some barking from my puppers as we continue. They haven't gotten the hang of the live show thing yet. Live feed. Hello, Mr. Doja. How are you? I've been enjoying your Music Man videos, sir. They've been very entertaining, and I know some of my little ones have been watching as well. Hello, my witchy friend. How are you, love? Meg! I wish that I could see you guys. I know. I mean, we can Zoom, but I wish I could see you all too. How's everybody been doing during all of this? Watching the comment bar. Well, I know that Katie had prepared a couple of things. Dogs. Come here, puppers. Do you guys want to see my doggos? Coco, come here. There's my doggos. There's my Coco dog. Oh, I know, Meg. I just want to sleep all day, too. Okay, I'm sorry. I picked my brain today. I saw that right before I went on, and I was nervous. You make me nervous, picking my brain. Ooh. I have another doggo, too, but she's the quiet one, so she's just kind of relaxing right now. That's the stressed out hyper one, so she needs a little extra love every once in a while, as we all do. So I'll start off by answering some of the questions that Katie had suggested we address on our lives. But first of all, I want to thank Stage 284 for doing these lives every week, because they are a great way to kind of keep in touch with each other and kind of hear some things about people that we might not normally hear about. We all see each other in a specific way when we're together, and sometimes we don't get these questions and parts of the conversation answered. So this is really cool. So tell us how you're involved at Stage 284. I am the resident choreographer and director for the main stage productions at Stage 284. What does that mean? That means that for the adult cast main stage shows, I do the choreography and the directing. So that's what I do at Stage 284. And what does that entail? So for directing, I work closely with the designers, and we develop kind of a big picture of what the production is going to look like. So we have some amazing people on our team at Stage 284. Mr. Dozier, Brian Dozier, who is on the chat right now, or was on the chat. I don't know if he's still there. Does our sound for us. And Craig Robertson, who did his live last week, does our stage design, scenic design usually, and our lighting design. And we all work really closely together to develop a plan on how we want the big picture of the show to look. And then as a director working with the cast, I help. We work together. I'm a very collaborative director, so we work together to make sure that we're telling the story as we kind of see it in the text through staging. And as a choreographer, I put down the steps. I design the steps, the choreography that goes in the musical numbers and the shows. So that's what I do. I see Adam Schuler. Hi, Shu. And Pam. Hi. Tell those beautiful girls of yours I said hi. What am I doing at home to stay creative at this time? Well, speaking of Pam, we just yesterday had a Zoom rehearsal for Secret Garden. And let me tell you guys, Zoom rehearsals are tricky. They're challenging, to be sure, but I cannot tell you the amount of times that I was listening to our cast either do scenes or Ben Tan, our fantastic music director for Secret Garden, was playing. Unfortunately, because of the lag on Zoom, we couldn't do a lot of vocal rehearsal, but I could hear everybody in my mind as we were rehearsing, and I was getting chills just thinking about those moments and kind of having little flashbacks to our tech week, which took place right before kind of everything started to get closed down. So fingers crossed we get to actually do that show for y'all in some capacity if they decide to allow us to live stream, or once we do all get to come back together as a community, because gosh, these kiddos are talented, and the adults. Pam's husband is in it, and Mr. Dozier, Brian Dozier's in it, and Pam's daughter Mara, and I see Karen on here. Hi, Mara and Kieran. And yesterday was just a reminder of how incredibly lucky we are to be surrounded by so many incredibly talented, wonderful people. So that's what it's about at Stage 284, is this community that we have of wonderful people who just happen to be super talented as well. So when we do get Secret Garden up and running, I hope you'll all join us, because it's sure to be a real treat. Gosh, super talented folks. So that's just one way I've been staying creative, but also, creativity can come in many different forms. So it's not just about our theatrical creativity. For those of you who don't know, I just recently bought a new house. So I've been creative in that way, kind of designing the rooms and being creative out in my garden, planting things, cleaning up the yard. I have a whole new yard to figure out. So that's another way. I've been creative with my kids in the kitchen, teaching them how to make some staples, pancakes. I've been developing all new kinds of pancakes, Oreo pancakes, and just kind of dancing around, singing around, keeping those creative juices flowing in our home. It doesn't have to be a performance to be creative. Paint, draw. Oh, if you're a writer, you could be writing something. Just keeping those creative juices flowing, however. I'm definitely missing out on all of you wonderful people, missing out on all those wonderful relationships that we've created over the years, but I know we'll get back there soon. So that keeps me going, that I know we'll get to see each other soon. And when we do, we're going to have one heck of a time. I can guarantee that. Um, Anybody have any questions? Oh, I see. Oh, yep, Kieran, Oreo pancakes. This is my son's development. So make your pancake batter, pour it onto the griddle or the pan, however you make your pancakes. Take an Oreo cookie. Well, there's a couple ways. You could take we like it when you take an Oreo cookie and put it right in the pancake and then pour more pancake batter on top and let it cook with the Oreo right in the middle of the pancake. But then also you can crush the Oreos up and put them in the batter, sprinkle them on top. All kinds of great ideas. So get creative in the kitchen. Anybody have any cool creative things they've done in the kitchen recently? I'll watch and see if anybody pops in with any ideas. But we've definitely been doing that. Getting creative with our nacho recipes. Megan Del Genio said she's about to go make some Oreo pancakes now. Whoop! They're so good. It's like, I don't know if anybody ever had a like a deep fried Oreo at the fair. It's kind of like that, but surrounded by pancake, yummy pancake. I mean, gosh. Kay says she's baking tons of bread. Yeah. What kinds, Kay? I know that our friend Tom Kelleher was doing an Instagram on how to make sourdough. Kay, you're baking bread right now. What kind? So that's a good way to kind of keep your creative juices flowing. A lot of us have some online ways that we're doing, right? Like I said, Tom Kelleher has been doing this sourdough kind of tutorial on Instagram. I think those might be saved, but you can check out his Instagram. And then I know that Tom Kelleher also hosts a Zoom play reading. A lot of people have been doing that, play reading things. Definitely keep your creative juices flowing by keeping up with Stage 284. Like I said, Katie's been, getting some people lined up to do stuff. So that's been super fun. And let's see, Steve Monroe. Hi, Steve. We miss you. How did you get into directing? That's a good question, Steve. I actually was a performer for a large majority of my life. I studied to be a performer. That was my kind of goal. And dancing was really a main part of that. And I was touring and performing and injured myself pretty badly and kind of ended my professional dancing career. But when one door closes, another door opens, as they say. And after a little break, I met my husband and raised my kids. So I took a little break, and then I started getting back into community theater. And I did a little performing there. And as I started doing more performing, I just kind of started looking at plays and collaboration from a different perspective. And it really started to interest me, the thought of directing a show. So I started talking to some of the theaters that I was working with at the time, the theater company of Saugus, Amanda Allen, and we had talked about the possibility of me directing a show there. And that's how it all started. The first show I directed there was Urinetown, the musical, and that was such a fun show, and I actually choreographed it at the same time. It's a lot of work to choreograph and direct a show at the same time, because obviously you're creating these steps for the musical numbers, but then you're also trying to maintain the integrity of the show by making sure that you're doing character work. Hi, Mr. Kelleher, Tom. I was touting your Instagram sourdough lessons and your play reading. So if you want to drop some links in the description box, that would be cool, because people are interested in staying creative. So if you want to drop some of those links in, that would be awesome. Pam asked, what was your most challenging show and why? Good question. I often say that all of my shows are like my children. So when people ask me to pick a favorite or what was the most challenging, and it's hard to say that because they're all challenging. And they're all challenging in different ways, and they're all my favorite in different ways. I will say probably one of the biggest challenges has kind of faced us with Secret Garden. We were in Tech Week. We were in our final second to last dress rehearsal for Secret Garden. And, that's when it became clear that we needed to, as a community, kind of hit the pause button and kind of take a break and make sure that everybody was doing the right thing for health purposes. And that was really challenging to come to that decision, and not only to come to the decision, but to have to share the decision with the cast. But I'll share a little story about how that went. Hopefully that's okay. When we got together, it was our second to last dress rehearsal. We all got together, and we announced the fact that we would be kind of pausing the production for a bit, postponing. And we had some amazing cast members who pointed out that this was our chance. I believe it was Dylan Stein, actually. This is our chance to kind of make history when we look back at this situation. When we talked about it further, we realized that indeed that was true. And the history that we have to make, the opportunity that we have to make right now, is how we all treat each other during this situation. And that we can make history by how we handle this. And I know that our community, and I think I see it on a bigger level, is definitely doing that. So that was a huge challenge, Pam, was, kind of making sure that we traveled the right path with Secret Garden on this journey. But we did the right thing, and I have all the faith in the world that we'll get that show up and running once we get back. So that was my most challenging moment, I would say, as a director. Megan Del Genio, if you could direct, choreograph any show, what would it be and why? Great question. Probably one of my bucket list shows is A Chorus Line. And that show has such a special meaning to me personally, and it's been a show throughout my career that has kind of been a pivotal one in different ways. As a performer, as a student of theater, as a young girl watching theater. It was my first show that I ever saw a live touring production of. So it made such a huge impact on me. And then as a young theater student, I was involved in a production at the Boston Conservatory. And again, it was a pivotal moment for me as a student. And then Chorus Line is one of the kinds of shows that you travel with as a pack. So once you do it on a certain level, you kind of travel with it in different ways. So touring with it and performing in that show was huge for me. And it is such a pivotal part of the musical theater canon. Um, it was probably one of the very first productions to really focus on the performer, and in a way that's a show inside a show. Yeah. So it's just a pivotal part of the musical theater canon, and I would love to direct and choreograph that show. It's been on my list for a while. Okay, where do you draw inspiration from while putting together a piece, especially a show that has been seen in other iterations many times? Great question. Um, for me, for those of you who worked with me, you know that I often refer to the pearl of a show as a director when we're doing character work and talking about the show's true meaning. We a lot of times talk about the pearl. That's the term I use, the pearl of the show. So when I'm drawing inspiration for a show, be it choreographically or directorially, because really for me, they're the same process. I read the text multiple times, and I really investigate the text. I try to investigate the relationships in the text, what's written on the page. And then I do lots of research. Especially if it's a time frame that I'm not familiar with. And that goes again for directing or choreographing. I do research online. I read lots of books. And then I sit for a while, and I kind of think about what I would want the audience to take away from the show. And what's the feeling I want them to have, or what's the question I want them to ask when they're leaving after the show with their friends. And that's kind of where I start my process from creatively in that regard. I do lots and lots of research beforehand, read the show, read supporting pieces, do lots of research. And then that's where the creative process starts, though, is asking myself, what's the pearl? What's the thing I want people to take away from? Thanks. Kay said it's all evident in your work. And that's what I bring to the table too when we sit down as a cast, right? When we talk about the relationships and how we want them to kind of feel. So that's how I go about that. Let's see, Tom. Oh, of course. I haven't been able to. Tom said, thanks so much for mentioning the play readings. We have consistently been reading shows on Sundays at 2 p.m. So if you're interested, check it out, y'all. And then let's see. Oh, this week, right. Easter this week. So maybe it might be a different day. For those of you who are interested in some watching some stuff, right? I believe JCS, Jesus Christ Superstar, is going to be rebroadcast this Sunday, Easter Sunday, if that's your thing. But I'm also going to drop a link in. That's my other pupper. I'm also going to drop a link in the box at some point with the playbill list of live performances. So that is definitely one. If you're a Shakespeare buff, definitely check out the Delacorte Much Ado About Nothing, because it is fantastic. Oh, Tom, thank you. Tom said working together has been so great in every opportunity. That's how I feel about you too, my friend. Kay, any interest in mounting and performing an entirely digital show? Hey, that sounds really cool. I don't know how that would work. I mean, I think we'd have to find something that we could do rights wise. So that's maybe a project for us to all talk about in another realm. Because I know that there's lots of productions that are still have their streaming rights restricted. Unfortunately, I mentioned like Stage 284. for our secret garden. We cannot live stream that. So rights are an issue for that, Kay, but that's definitely something I would love to consider. I wonder how we could go about doing that. Let's zoom that out and figure it out. Um, let's see. Any other questions? I want to know what y'all are up to. I want to know what you guys have been doing. Let's see. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. That's for sure. That's the main concern right now. Let's see. Well, I think if we don't have any more questions, I think we will say goodbye. But I can definitely, if you come up with something later, I can definitely check on the thread and answer questions. Don't forget, I will. Oh, Britt, I didn't know that. What is it? Beat by Beat Press just made a show called The Show Must Go On online, for example. Cool, 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 cool. We'll have to check that out. Oh, okay, Kay. Kay has another question. Yeah, we definitely, let's talk about that online thing. We'll get a little something going and see if we can figure that out. Grant proposals. How do I feel about them? Well, grant proposals are super important to the arts, and I actually have done quite a few of them, some of them more successful than others, as Megan Del Genio can attest to. But they are pivotal to producing some great works. So, and to supporting artists. And there are a lot of them available, especially in Massachusetts. We're fortunate enough to live in Massachusetts, which, really, really believes in supporting the arts. But in order to help that continue, we have to keep producing art, right? And we have to keep collaborating, and we have to keep working together as communities to really get some good stuff out there. And Megan, we love writing grant proposals. Megan can attest to this because Megan and I did a proposal not too long ago. That was pretty hectic. Sometimes the questions can seem really daunting, but I think if you really take the time to consider what your project is and find the right grant to support it, I think that's a huge part of it. It's really important that you have something in mind when you're looking at these grants and not just applying for all these grants without a purpose behind it. So that I think would be my main piece of advice for that. My main information to share, that apply for grants that really support what you're trying to do, because otherwise it's twofold, really. The grant that you might be applying for might not be a right fit for you personally, for your production, your team, your company, but also, honestly, as a member of a community, if you are applying for a grant that doesn't really fit your niche and somehow you manage to get approval for it, you could be taking grant money away from a project that really could use it in a way that's more fitting for that specific purpose. Some people might disagree with me on that, but that's just kind of how I feel. I think that there's plenty of opportunities to go around, and so if we start kind of just going at them willy-nilly, then we're not really using them for their correct purpose. But yeah, and also do your grant proposals before your strike of a show, because That's when things go wrong, friends. That's when things go wrong. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's it for me. I hope that you all stay safe and healthy and keep being creative in whatever way moves you. Get out in the sunshine if that's your thing and plant some flowers. Um, oh, stage 284. I feel like sometimes you have to apply a few times and get rejected so they know you're serious. Oh, yeah, that is true. Definitely true. Um, in terms of grant writing and proposals, definitely. Don't let a no keep you from applying in the future, right? If you have a project that you know is a perfect fit for a grant and you apply and you get denied the first time, don't let that keep you from applying again. Apply again. Keep applying. If you are sure in your heart that it's the right fit and keep applying. Just think about how you presented your material and find ways to tweak it so that it makes it more clear of what you're really trying to do. Again, the way I always kind of speak is just follow your heart, really, really. Love you too, Pam. Okay, so I guess I will sign off now. Thank you guys for participating. Don't forget to check out the rest of the week's activities. I know we have Haley Cook doing some stuff. Who else is on the docket for this week? Mr. Dozier, Brian Dozier is going to be doing some sound design stuff. I know that. So please, please, please check out the rest of the offerings this week. And I think I'm coming back at you next week too, maybe with a little surprise something. So take care, y'all. I love you all. And I hope you're safe and healthy and keep being creative. And I will see you all soon. Take care.